Why don't you answer that question?
Right.
Well, I tell you what, here's an interesting, why don't we start with this? Because you and I, we get to see all kinds of stuff in this world, and we see a lot of injustice in this world too, right?
Right.
So, and when we see injustice, I don't know how it feels for you guys. If you see something that you feel is really, really wrong, and something awful is happening, that you have this cry inside of you, and you're crying for justice, and you actually want justice to come, and you're hoping it will come. I mean, you must have seen that as well, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've experienced that.
Absolutely. I mean, we all watch the news and we see, injustice or things happening in the world with you have like modern day slavery or women or children getting taken from their families to work. And when we see that, our innate reaction is, man, I hope the people that have done these atrocities are brought to justice.
Yeah.
And that's a right feeling, because we should feel that way because a wrong has been done. So absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's interesting. I mean, you must also have this feeling too, when you know that something's wrong and it's not being put right.
Right.
Then there's another cry as well. You start getting angry at other people.
Where's the justice?
Yeah.
Where's the justice?
Yeah, and so I think, and that's, I mean, I know sometimes we're in similar space, sometimes we're in different space, but even when we're in different space, would you say that's always true? I mean, meet a lot of angry people who feel there's just so much injustice in this world. Something needs to be done about, nothing's being done, so they're mad.
And there's that feeling when we don't see justice being done, or what we perceive to be justice, we are, rightly angered. We are outraged. We're wondering, why haven't the authorities, done this? In America, there are a lot of different things happening, but one of the things are happening in our politics, in our policies and whatnot, and there are people on either side of the aisle crying that this is unjust, what's happening. Something needs to change.
Yeah.
And that feeling legitimately comes out of it's a I think a God-inspired feeling insofar as we want there to be some equality, we want there to be some justice in the world.
And so with the question that, I don't know who first put it forward, and actually a lot of you guys have been asking questions about this, I think the starting point to think about this question well is actually almost every human being you meet has a cry for justice in them. We actually want to see it done. And actually, when we look at God, we very often ask the question, God, where are you in this?
Right.
Where's your justice?
Right.
And so here's the interesting thing, and it's very, very fascinating. This is really true for my life. When I see other people doing wrong things to me, I'm saying to God, I want justice. Where is it? And then I can think of all kinds of terrible things I'd like to happen to that person for them to feel that justice. Hopefully.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, painfully, slowly, maybe embarrassing.
Yeah.
That then becomes made public to make it even more embarrassing. I can imagine. So when people are wronging me, I want God to come in justice and judgment. When I've done something wrong, and I'm the bad guy, I want everybody to understand why I did what I did and why I have a good excuse for it, and basically to be let off the hook.
Right.
Is it just me?
No, it is just me. Please forgive me. I know I've done wrong.
Yeah, so here's this interesting thing. We live in a society that's passing moral judgment all the time. You even mentioned some of it. We live in a society that wants moral judgment all the time, but we don't like the idea that there may be a moral judge who will actually pass that judgment on all of us.
Right.
And that's now when all of a sudden this whole question within the Bible and within what Jesus had to say, because Jesus did talk a lot about judgment and all that kind of stuff in the Bible. As a matter of fact, in the end of the Gospel of Matthew, when he's talking to some religious people in particular who think they're good, he says to them, you will never escape hell. I mean, he has really strong words for them. And he basically is saying to them, you're more interested in looking good than doing good. You're more interested in looking good than being good. Right. You're putting on a show about what you give and how you look and how you act, but inside, it's completely messed up.
Right.
And so Jesus actually spoke some really tough words. So this is now where we now have this tension that we're going to have to resolve. This cry that we want for justice in this world and our feeling of anger when we see injustice. And that's exactly how God feels when he sees injustice. And we call it his wrath. He is angry with all of the wrong stuff that he sees. And we have this cry, won't you, God, will something be done about it? And the answer is, yeah, one day it will. He will judge.
Right.
Now, the trouble we then have is this. All of us, like everybody in this room, even Warner, although he has the face like an angel, He's just like you and me. All of us in this room have done stuff which is wrong. There's just no two ways about it. All of us. And so we have this secret hope on the inside we'll be let off the hook, and at the same time we want everybody to have the maximum punishment for what they've done. And here's the bit that I just love with what God does in the Bible. Because, I mean, you know this better than me. We love bad guys to get killed. As a matter of fact, in one of that Marvel thing, weren't you a bad guy?
Yes.
You were a bad guy. I remember that. And what happened to you, just out of interest?
Wait, should I say, it'll be a spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. Put it like this, I got what was due to me.
Yeah. And it was painful, right?
It was increasingly painful, yes.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind, and in the TV series, you also need anticipation of it too, right? It's not enough that you get punished, that the fact that you're bad, you need to know it's going to happen to you. You need to fear it's going to happen to you. You have to see it coming, and then you have to experience it.
Right.
Maybe twice.
Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this is the interesting thing. God actually says, you know what, I have come into this world, and he does pass judgment on every human heart. He sees what's in here, and he knows it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, he steps into this world in the person of Jesus Christ, and he says, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take what you've done wrong, I'm going to take it to me. I'm going to take the consequence of what you've done bad, I'm going to take it to me. And Jesus comes into this world, and he dies on the cross, and he pays the price for what you and I have done. He is literally in our place. The truck, instead of it hitting us, it hits him. Right. And he takes what you and I deserve. Now, and that's really important, because if you've suffered wrong in your life, and there's some of you here, sadly, you would have had some real bad personal experience of this, where people have done some terrible things to you. And the last thing you actually want is for the person who's done terrible stuff to you to be forgiven. Well, when Jesus comes into this world, when God comes into this world, he takes all the bad stuff that we've done to himself. And he pays the price for all of us. So that if anyone is forgiven for the bad stuff that they have done, it's not the fact that nobody pays. It's not the fact that they're being let off the hook. Jesus pays. He literally pays the price for what we've done wrong. And that's the amazing thing about forgiveness. It comes at a price. Forgiveness is never free. Right. I mean, it's hard. Right. I mean, I find it hard to forgive.
Absolutely.
Okay, we find it hard to forgive.
Absolutely.
The thing we have to also then remember ourselves as Christians is, look, God does come in justice. He does speak what's wrong. He pays the price for it. He's offering forgiveness that he's paid. It'll be like I borrow your car, and I smash up your car, and you say, Michael, it's easy to get lost in Brooklyn. Don't worry about it. And I walk away, and I'm feeling, this is great. I didn't pay anything for this. Mm-hmm. It's not the fact that nobody paid. He paid. Does that make sense? I messed up. I broke the car. He says, okay, Michael, I'll take care of it. It's not, I've been forgiven, but it's not free. Does that make sense? Forgiveness is never free. He pays the price for what I've done. Right. And that's the gospel right there.
That is the gospel.
God pays for what we've done wrong. So the price is still paid. And that's really important if you're a victim in this world. It's important for you to know that even if you've suffered wrong at the hands of other people and God is going to forgive them, it's for two reasons. A, he's paid, and B, they have to say sorry. Because sorry is how you receive that forgiveness. So that's the amazing thing for me, is, yes, look, God isn't interested in, the trouble with the question, God sends people to hell, is that the emphasis is on the word send. Right. Yeah? Right. It's more like God's like, okay, you, and you, right, there you go. I'm sending you to that room. Mm-hmm. Whereas actually the message that comes through Scripture is very different. In the Old Testament, God says, come now, let us reason together. Though your sins are like scarlet, they can be made white. He's basically saying, come to me, I'll forgive you. Mm-hmm. And in the New Testament, it's the same message. So the incredible thing about the gospel, the reason why it's good news, is Jesus saying there's no reason to go to hell. Right. Okay? I've come into this world to rescue you from it. Accept my rescue. And the way we accept it is by accepting what he has done for us.
I wanted to... Michael said it so well. So really quick, when I was younger, do we have that picture? Yeah. That's, you're saying, but I had to live looking like that with the glasses as big as my face.
That's when we had the same tailor. That's when we went to the same fashion consultant. That was that time.
So this one, and it's in black and white because it was used for something else. But yes, this is what I looked like for the majority of my life. I guarantee most of you in here would not have been my friends. But when I was this age and older, all through high school, I used to try to get into this club. It was a teenage club, but they let in like 20-year-olds too. He's trying to get in. Now I look like this. Okay, so let that sink in. This is what this guy looked at like trying to get into a club, right? And needless to say, every time I got to the door, there would be a bodyguard there, somebody minding the door who would not let me in. It never failed, never, ever, ever failed. Next Saturday, or a Saturday came, I was in the line as I always am, like every other Saturday, and I'm going up to the guy, and I know he's just about to turn me away, just like he always does, right? But my cousin, who's far cooler than I am, he's always been, he would always get into the club just like that. He was already inside, right? So when the guy's about to turn me away, just at the last moment, my cousin comes out, he reaches out his hand, he said, no, that guy, he's with me. The bouncer or whoever he was put aside the rope, and I get into the club. Now, what changed? What changed about me? Did my clothes change? No, my clothes didn't change for another 8 years. Okay, so my clothes didn't change. The glasses certainly didn't change. The funky haircut didn't change either. The only thing that changed was the guy on the inside co-signing for me, and so now the bouncer, he doesn't judge me for who I am. He judges me by my allegiance or my being, I guess, co-signed by the guy in the inside. Does that make sense? So now I wasn't getting in because I was so cool. I was getting in because my cousin was so cool, right? In a way, that is exactly what Jesus does for us. Now, what would have happened if I would have said, if my cousin would have come out and said, hey, man, come in, you're with me. And I would have said, no, I'm good. I'm going to try to get in because, this tie that I'm wearing is so chic, or this sweater I'm wearing that my grandmother knitted for me is so cool. What if I would have just said that? Then I would have been making the choice to stay outside. So it wasn't that that the bouncer or anyone inside was sending me to stay there. It was I was choosing to not take the extended hand of my cousin. In a very similar way, that is exactly what Jesus offers to us, just like Michael said. Jesus is saying you don't have to be in line, as it were. You don't have to stay outside, as it were. Now, if you do, then you do. That's your choice, but I'm not sending you there. Right? Does that make sense? All right.